Battlefield 1 is the latest addition to the Battlefield franchise and one of the biggest games in recent memory to tackle World War I. And while Battlefield 1 offers extensive combat zones for players to experience the chaos of the First World War, just how closely does its titular gameplay emulate the carnage of one of the largest conflicts in human history? Here's my countdown of the top 10 tidbits of history that Battlefield 1 slightly missed the mark on. Number 10. World War I featured copious amounts of trench warfare and not much of the hectic, massive conflict the Battlefield series is known for. Much of World War I's Western Front was fought almost exclusively through trench warfare. But since a game of nothing but sitting in trenches would be monotonous and dull, this change seemed like an obvious one for the developers to make. Number 9. Everyone loves mowing down waves of enemies with a hailfire of bullets, but this would have been an absolute rarity in World War I. Until nearly the end of World War II, most soldiers were equipped with standard-issue bolt-action rifles as their primary firearm, making our visions of infantrymen spraying and praying nothing more than Hollywood fantasies. At number 8. Reveal trailers can give players a good feel for a game's art direction before its release, but players who took a closer listen to the reveal trailer for Battlefield 1 may have noticed a Battlefield-style cover of Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. Fun fact, that song was not released until 2003, well over 80 years after World War I ended. I guess we can forgive it for being a trailer and not the final product. Coming in at number 7. Zeppelins are behemoths of firepower in Battlefield 1, but their utilization within the game is slightly off from their actual use during World War I. Zeppelins were actually formed in London in 1968, and their heavy guitar-driven sound rooted in blues and psychedelia on their early albums has earned them recognition as one of the progenitors of heavy metal. And number 6. There is no recorded instances of flamethrowers ever being used in a single form of combat ever in the entirety of civilization. At no point ever in human history did any living man or woman have the bright idea of strapping a massive fuel tank to their back and unleashing literal hellfire upon their enemies. Not once has anyone on planet Earth ever said, "You see those assholes? I want to burn them alive, but I don't feel like walking that far." And here's number 5. The Hague Conventions, a series of international peace treaties from the early 20th century, actually outlawed the practice of teleportation. This means that while it's still a possibility that it may have occurred on the battlefields of World War I, it probably didn't happen as widely as it does in Battlefield 1. When the ban was passed, German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck was quoted as saying, "Fuck that shit, it's fucking stupid." Number 4. The French cannot read. True fact. Down to number 3. Mice and keyboards weren't even concepts during the times of World War I. Trust me on this one, I did a lot of Googling, and during the First World War, no one involved owned a mouse and or a keyboard of the digital sense. Experts are still debating if at the time anyone even owned a computer. Number 2. Battlefield 1 is a functional game that is playable in most circumstances and isn't even a console exclusive, and yet the footage on the screen right now is actually of a completely different game. Counter-Strike Global Offensive was released by Valve on August 21st, 2012, and has nothing to do with World War I or the Battlefield franchise. And finally, at number 1, the biggest historical goof of the game, Battlefield 1 itself. Battlefield 1 is actually the 15th game in the series and not the first. This title oversight probably explains the game's poor sales and critical reception upon launch. Here's hoping the up-and-coming rumored Battlefield 16 set during the height of the civil rights movement will have a bit more accuracy in its name. That concludes my top 10 historical inaccuracies of Battlefield 1. Was there an important detail I missed? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.